Okay, welcome back to Unconventional Watercolors. This is week 4. And what I thought to do on top of just showing you some different ways of painting would be that we would touch upon different subject matter. So we've done a cityscape, we've done a floral. We're going to do a landscape today. And I actually have 2 things geared up. I could do a second one, but we'll just see how that goes. Um, I love the size and shape of this board. It is actually 10 inches by 20 inches. It's a cradled panel that I stretch with paper. So that's where my last week or 2 has been madly stretching lots of different sizes so that I can go straight to paint on here. But I don't know, it has a really nice proportion, 1 to 2, right? 10 to 20. So when I look at something that's a bit more panoramic and you want to have something that has a little bit more drama from the beginning, a panoramic or those kind of proportions could really be helpful. All right, I'm going to switch over to the other camera. Okay, and we'll see if we can get closer. All right, that's not bad. Okay. So on Padlet, I have uploaded each of these 2 that I thought we might try, but especially this first one. So it is a photograph that I took in the winter, has beautiful winter skies. What's one thing I love about winter is winter skies. The cloudy patterns and the light hitting it is just really, I find can be really special. So it's a very low horizon, kind of a tilting horizon of sorts, very dark, but I could see some colors I can pull out. But the showstopper is like 75–80% of this entire painting is the sky. And then you have that beautiful little light in the sky as if it might be the sun location. So this is challenging. I've been staring at this trying to figure out how I would start it. And if I started it tomorrow, I would probably start it differently than I'm starting it today. Let me close this guy up a little bit. And I want to draw this out. I'm doing it with pencil. And I'm being kind of free with my marks. I mean, they're fairly dark. We already know that they can be covered in paint. But my entire drawing, feels like a cloud. It's soft. It's one goes into the other. I can see some darks in here. Right now, of course, whatever ends up on the page is likely to not resemble this at all. So what I have are just some masses of shapes, and let me even shade some of these out a little bit more. I think there's a white piece coming here. I'm not getting too crazy because I know I'll lose a lot of it.
We do have a question.
Yes.
Lisa asks, why would you start it differently if you started it tomorrow?
Oh, all right. So I think everything about what I'm painting today, if I were to paint it tomorrow, I would paint it somehow differently. Maybe I would grab a different brush. Maybe I would squeeze a different tube of paint. That's all that I meant, was that there's some semblance of I'm making the decision right now, and if I would make it at another time, I might make it differently. Right, so now the goal here, I mean, that's my drawing. You know, I'll even give it a big red here with arrows. That's my sunset. But as I'm sketching in here, I'm reflecting on what am I gonna do. It makes sense. This guy is gonna output all kinds of crazy drips and remnants and all of that. So I will not be at any loss to get some interaction on the landscape below. At first, I thought I'd start below and then go up, but it's just gonna obliterate the land anyway with all the white that I'm gonna be using. So there's really three tones in the sky. There's a white, there's like a dark gray, and then there's a sky blue. And so that's what I am going to try to just capture on the page. Starting with this brush, it's a keeper. A nice blue, I think manganese blue is a lovely blue. Probably needs just a little bit of white. That is feeling really nice. So I'm coming right in here and I'm kind of scrubbing little cobalt, little manga, coming in here, you know, and I could see where my drawing really wasn't that helpful in some places, so I'm not being bound by it, just painting around. Just a spot of red, doesn't matter what kind. So you're not seeing a lot of rushing drips, right? You'd expect to be seeing a lot of rushing drips. Well, I'm really controlling the pigment water relationship, so it's much it's thicker. Whereas on a larger piece, I might more freely use thin paint or combination of. I'm trying to put in some paint where there is. Right. All right. Now we're gonna get that beautiful blue again, which is white, and that beautiful manga. All right. Not bad. So it really helps to kind of boil down to three different values, because then as I come in and paint, you know, like this first round is almost like boiling it down to its essence. And then you start building it up to its possibilities. Yeah, I like that. All right. So another beautiful thing about doing landscapes, or for that matter, skyscapes like this, is there really isn't any, you can really vary away and have it still read as a landscape. So it gives you a lot more freedom, I think, to, you know, to simplify it. Still doing just that, back and forth, up and down. Yeah, and I'm coming out over here. So look at that, barely a drip, because the paint is so thick. And I'm just bouncing around. Where are the lightest areas? Do they connect with something else? And I see some darks that maybe I should come in here for. So now it's just all pigment. Now it's the frightening part that I threw some water. But that's okay. We'll come in here. We'll thicken up areas. So another good value of seeing me paint a couple different things is seeing the fact that I won't be able to do great paintings on all of them. Time for a white squeeze. So I think this could be a candidate for being painted a little bit more on a horizontal or a light slope, just because you got 10 inches. Once it starts racing, you don't have a lot of maneuver time in there. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what clouds really are. They're just interconnected shapes, just like everything else. And they're a little more organic. So maybe you don't see squares and rectangles, but you might see triangles intersecting with each other. I don't know why, but I'm putting a bunch of green. Okay. All right. So let's get everybody happy over here. I use my fingers a lot. So there's a lot of white on here, and me throwing water is going to mostly affect the white. Right, how about some maples and some white? That looks beautiful. All right, so I'm kind of painting the light part of the landscape, and then I'll come back in for the dark parts. The irony is, for me, a little painting like this might actually use up as much paint as one that's large. So you can see that white is kind of liquidy, so it's already spreading. Okay, that's maybe too wet. All right, let me put a hair dryer on this. Just for a couple minutes.
We have a question from Paula. Is that paper on cradled board frame?
Yes, it is. So it is, here, let me hair dry it just a minute. So yes, it's on a cradled panel. Whoopsie. And it's got dimension like 1.5 inches, 1.5 inches. And here's the back, and the cradle is the support all the way around. And if you get bigger panels, they might have some support in the middle as well. And then I showed you briefly how to stretch paper. And so that's what I do to this. I wet it, staple it on the back, and then it tightens up. And then I like the presentation when it's all said and done, that I could just varnish this and pop it into a floater frame. All right, I need to get some dark just for my peace of mind. Going straight into Viridian, messy palette, indigo. Don't want to get in there too much, don't want to hit white. All right, so the photograph is just a reference. There's a variation. Then it's up to me to say, oh my gosh, what do I do about it? I want to more closely match what's going on, or I want to go my own direction. I've got enough of the spirit, I think, here that I'm just kind of rolling. And I want to get, doesn't show very well, but get some beautiful yellow ochre, maybe some of that ultramarine blue. There's actually a, there's just a bit of a foreground color going. Okay, if I wanted to blend this a different, I could turn it upside down and get gravity working to maybe get some softening into the sky. I tend to believe gravity goes down, so I tend to work my surface traditionally, I guess. And I'm going in for some ultramarine blue, some alizarin, some quinacridone fuchsia, a spot of sap green. Okay. I'm just trying to get some residue of the white. And you could probably start seeing it in here, the kind of feathery effects that it comes with. I'm just gonna throw some white. Just water. Trying to get manganese. So this painting, I mean, the painting is alive, right? Everything I'm doing to it is affecting something somewhere else. So water I'm just distributing into the sky is also leaching into some of these cloud patterns. For now, I'm not opposed to that. If something got to be a bit much, maybe I'll change the direction here to horizontals. Just hitting right along this level. And we'll just keep going. So, some blue and some white. Not bright enough blue, not less enough white. Get more blue. That's better. Nice. That's beautiful blue. So I'm just kind of tagging in here, working on these little trails that are uncovered. What all those trails are is a series of shapes. And even though you can't describe it with words, you could follow it with a paintbrush. I've lost a lot of my definition now, so it just looks like drips, but I can see where I can harness it again. Okay, mostly putting in lights, light blues. Whoopsie, got something else in there. Need a little blue. Blue, give me some more blue. Okay, that should have it. We'll back up here, line start into here. The light contrast, I'm okay with that. Here's a darker blue. That's a black in there. Okay with that. Let's hit some of these other spots. Okay. So I'm just going to stay on that color for now. I'm just building. In some ways, I'm just making a mess. But we just keep circling around, repainting, painting and repainting, getting dimension where maybe we didn't think we could. All right, so now I'm getting a little more frantic, like, okay, I've been moseying along, something needs to turn into something, but I can't let that mindset get in there. That's no good for a painter. Just kind of plodding along. Shapes don't all make sense. But once I get to painting many of them, I'll give you the illusion that I'm painting clouds just because of the context of what appears to be clouds. I'll try to move that for the next. Okay. If all else fails, change a color. Go a little darker. And that's ultramarine blue. That's some imperial purple. Maybe just a touch of orange to gray out that blue, but oops, that was too much. Dab, dab, dab. If I get the wrong color on there, instead of wiping it off, I'll put it a couple of places. So now it relates. Lordy, what color have I got going there? Let's go back and start all over. Cobalt, ultramarine, a little bit of white. Right now, the drips towards the bottom, I think, are getting distracting. They're distracting. They're not helpful. They're not interesting. They're just distracting. Okay, I'm spreading out on my palettes just because I'm a mess. Going in with some Naples yellow and white, just kind of a creaminess. Watch this guy start making sense in the next 10 minutes. Okay, here comes a big smear. I'll put this passage down and then we'll take a break. Okay, without all of the distraction down here, all of a sudden that gets to be the proper emphasis, I guess. Not bad. 131. Why don't we take a break there? 10, about 15 minutes or so. Okay, so we are right in where we left off on this painting. I'm going to try to continue to give you better looks. Now's the time where I do something really foolish, like I try to ruin it. All right, so what was my goal in doing this? There's a lot of miscellaneous pieces and colors, and they're not well related. And by popping just a wash over the top of them, I can get them to become better related. So let me put a hair dryer on that. Everything's dried except some of the haze, and I'm just kind of wash some more haze down. I'll pop in a tree line in here, so this will all get better defined again. All right, hair dryer needs a minute. So let's do that tree line. And I'm going to do some black, some imperial purple, just going for a lot of my darks, a little bit of a sap green, some viridian, some ultramarine blue. So I'm pushing the paint backwards with the brush, gives it a bit more of a feathery approach. Just kind of stopping and starting. Now I'm going to grab this dark drip, just grabbing my brush with my hands and just pulling off paint and water from the brush so that it actually becomes a bit of a sponge. Okay, all right. Let me put another hair dryer, please. Good. I think you're picking up some reflections from the window. Try to get it more straight in. That would be right where I would be standing. Okay, so there are some fresh colors I need to recharge, and the blues. I'm looking for manganese blue. It's a beautiful, brightish, clean color, and it should be right here. There it is. Okay. Manganese blue. Very nice. Kind of a greenish tint to my eye. Some people like cerulean blue. I prefer manganese blue. And I'm just going in with some what I expect I'll be needing. Some blue. All right, there's enough there. There's enough there. One last squeeze if I could find the tube. Here it is. Okay. Now I may wipe out my palette. This is what it looks like right now. In fact, I will, because it's just a lot of brown. Don't mind interaction of any of those colors. Everything's real liquidy. I was working with a lot of earth colors and soupy colors. And now we're good. Okay. So one of the things that is important in this composition are these diagonals, right? So you've got the diagonal line of the landscape, and then you've kind of got these diagonal rhythms going on in the tree. Not the tree, the what you call the cloud. So I'm going to just slow it down a little bit. The right color, get more blue in there. Mix more red with that. And it's kind of a dry brush now, so you know I could color with my dry brush. It's going to give your brush a bit of a beating, but sometimes it's the only way you can get a certain effect. And I'm just coming in with some darker colors again. So whether it's a floral arrangement or a cityscape, I'm really painting it the same way. I'm painting these dominant features. Here they would be clouds. But I'm painting each of the, what you call, the values at the same time. I'm not just painting light, I'm not just painting dark, I'm kind of painting them all at the same time. And if we can keep it kind of moist the entire time, that's really what I'm after right now. Okay. And now I'll come in with some whites. The white will probably be a little more prone to drip. I'm okay with that. Well, maybe not. That's a lot. All right, don't get distracted. So many things to get distracted with. Where do I start? Where do I go? Well, like any of these complex things, you start in one spot and you just keep working. Don't let anything, just because it's complicated, dampen your groove. Do I feel a sense of panic? A little bit. You know, I have said farewell to different parts of a beautiful painting, all willingly, but you know, when you find yourself at a certain juncture and you're thinking, oh, come on now, come on, clouds. All right, so I'm still painting some lights. So I cleaned up this area. I knew there'd still be some life from above, you know, knocking on the door. So I know that we'll find another treatment. Kind of liquidy. When it's right next to something liquidy, it starts running. And as I'm going through here, I'm just talking to myself, okay, you know, well, okay, this side is darker, this side is lighter, this side is warmer. I'll dim this guy out a little bit. It's like beep, beep. Maybe get some other. Just washing that out a little bit. Not even rubbing or scrubbing, just directing water. Oh, so there's some great stuff going on in here that, Lordy, there's no way I could do that. And those are the moments that I imagine they have them in any medium, but I know about them with watercolor, where something just paints itself. And it's hard to tell because everything is wet, so that white still looks prominent. I know it's not as prominent. But whenever I need a helping hand, we'll bring that hair dryer out. Okay, I kind of like that. I think I'm gonna go bold for the bottom. Very bold for the very bottom. Oh, and you say you think that we've gone bold. No, we haven't gone bold at the very bottom. So there's gonna be some ultramarine blue, putting it into a Penn. Penn, a disposable pen. Throwing a lot of the darkers in there. Okay. So I'm just throwing some modest tosses of just pure water. There's some right in here, all along here, there's some beautiful modeling going on. I think I need it darker. That's what I thought I heard somebody say. Needs to be darker. So, go indigo. Yes. Okay, I'm happy with that. Now there should, so what we're seeing is some layering going on. And that's what I've been after. I have a slurry of some white. Another slurry of some white. Now let's see how much I have to correct of it. Sometimes just these stray dots need to go away. The big ones have to go away. Action. All right, I think I have to dry it. You know, it has a pretty good feel. So always the challenge. Here's the original. Hard to see, perhaps. I see more light in the sky because of the white, but there's some really cool stuff going on with everything else. So I think what I will do is to come back with another pass of white or creaminess. That's what we'll do. We'll get some cream. Second. Okay. All right, I'm gonna pick up a big brush. And I'm gonna get a good gob of Naples yellow. Bring it over, be invited to. Oh, I got some quinacridone. Isn't that interesting? Okay. Putting some white with some cream in there. A little dominant. We'll take some of it down. There goes our dark round. Well, this land mass is constantly moving. So everything I'm doing above is going to affect that. And I'm being mindful of that. I'll let it go when I need to, but sometimes it's good to just course correct everything. And I want this to have some mass in it. All right, back to blue, back to the coal mine. And I'm taking that light blue. Been a lot of splatters. There's been, well, the color has just been it's treated all together, so we have to show it some due respect. I'm just staying with the one color. A very nice blue made out of manganese blue and a little white. And just going around each shape again, hoping that I can make some sense of it. Well, I like it. I'm not sure it looks like clouds. So a lot of what I'm experiencing is a lot of texture on these cloud shapes. And I'm going to need to paint some of those out so that the illusion I present is more compelling, that these are clouds. All right. Using a lot of manga, a little bit of white. Beautiful, gorgeous, gorgeous. And so now we get. Anybody have any questions? So the strategy is the same. Even most of the time I'm going after a subject, I intend to go after it with multiple layers that I could unfold that kind of story. And once I take that position, I have to be willing to let go of good paintings along the way if they're not what I'm looking for. So I think that's always the question as an artist is, you're always paying attention to what you seek so that if you find it, but there's always that balance, like, oh, I've come across something. It's not what I expected. Is it, what do I think about it? Now we're going to get into some more. Going into the darker value. So in a lot of ways, these smaller ones can be trickier to pull off than the bigger ones. Same issues, same painting, same amount of painting. Just concentrating, coloring out some patterns. Okay. Paint just a few more minutes and then we'll take a break. But it's interesting because, so in a nutshell, this turns out to really be a cloud painting. And if you approach it like that, man, you've got endless subject matter. All different kinds of clouds, patterning. Clouds are pretty amazing, challenging to paint. Mhm. So it's looking a little bit more like what I'd like it to. The drips that were objectionable are mostly painted out. Don't always want them. Yeah, I tell you, this section here is feeling pretty good. That should all be painted. Okay. Let's take a break. It is 2:10. Let's regroup at 2:30. Or just before. Okay, so we're returning to the close-up camera. A couple of passes on this, and I've sat here for the last couple of minutes for the break, just kind of comparing it to what the source material is, and I think I'm on track. So with this next pass, I'm going to come in with colors like this creamy white or just white, and start hitting the underneath of the clouds. This whole area is going to come to life. So once that comes in place, there may be a couple of other moves to make, but that should get me real close. So I am actually going into a pan just with the two colors, Naples yellow and white. I want them to be clean. I don't want them to pollute everything else. So this cloud work is going to be these two colors. And maybe a brighter yellow. Give me a brighter yellow. Now I'm being mindful of these potential drips. I just snagged one over here by ending its path. For now, that's the way I want it to be. I want to be real careful about where those drips appear. Well, this one got in the way, so we'll cut them off at the highlight and just give a lot of water and clean that out. No big deal. There might be a trace of the passage, but that's okay. I just don't want it as prominent as it was. The paper is moist, so I don't need a lot of water. I just pick up a little bit of pigment, and I can color easily with it being wet. If I added more water, things would be dripping out of control, but also I wouldn't know what I'd be getting when things dry, because that much more water means that much more change when we're drying. Nothing about that guy I like. We'll wait them. It's tricky. It's just hitting some highlights. Sometimes just running them out of town is the least obtrusive thing to do. Get back in here. You're still hitting highlights, and I'm painting them as they're drying. And some of them are disappearing, so I'll have to paint them again. It's really a trial and error thing. I just don't know how prominent they'll be. So over time, this, like everything else, it's the same philosophy. It's really about paint. And so what we're doing is finding a subject matter that you respond to and you feel positively towards. You feel so positively towards it, you would actually paint it and take the time and the prep and the doing. That's all the personal part about painting. The rest of the painting is just, it's just celebrating paint. The process of putting paint on or taking it off, for that matter. This is a really challenging subject to paint. I want to get it somewhat convincing. It's fun because there's all these weird interconnections. It's not like rectangles meeting rectangles. Okay. It's still with Naples yellow and white. And I want to come back down in here. Whoopsie, that's too much. So the sheet was a little more wet than I bargained for, so the amount of water I had in my paint wasn't quite right. just staying on the subject. You know, it's overwhelming. I'd like to get it in real direct passages. It's not the right orange. So, no. Dark color, just hitting the lower ends. Because it's wet, it's got pigment, it's alive. Running out of paint. Okay. And we just keep going. You can't get caught up with, oh my gosh, does it really look like a cloud? I don't know. Right now, I just keep one paintbrush at a time. Okay. Throw some water, step back, see what happens, step back, throw some water, freak out, throw some more water. So I don't know what's going on here, but I'm just gonna try to follow how these light kind of pillow shapes relate to the dark. There's a lot of light coming, so I have to probably ramp that up a little bit. We already painted it, we saw it disappear. Okay. Constantly going back to things that I painted. And I'm just kind of hitting some small marks. Okay. Now I'm going to go back and do some darks. So I'm getting some ultramarine blue, touch of a red, maybe a spot of a green. And I'm painting over areas. They seemingly were fine. But I'm thinking that another wash over these areas would help. What would it help? I mean, we want to have somewhat of a convincing illusion of clouds. Obviously, there's so much range in what a cloud looks like. Someone can't really say, well, it doesn't really look like that. But you know, direct observation is often the best way to really understand a subject. Okay. Painting over some things, including the light dots. I think I need a little more blue for this. So I'm painting with real light wash now. And it can be frustrating feeling like, oh, I really want to get this cloud, and then I've just painted something and maybe it's not quite right. But I understand that. I understand that I have to just keep working this. And sometimes it's the layers that will unfold all of that real richness. So if we stay on track with our goal of just keep working the surface round and round, back and forth, I think it's not if, it's when we find something that is the illusion of the cloud. It might take a little longer. Right? This is the kind of thing you could probably just paint all day. Well, how does it look? Not too bad. All the pieces are there. I'm going to come in with a heavy color, purple and green. All right. I'm craving that orange, but I'm not mixing the right color. So I have to be a little more careful. We'll go with some Naples yellow, and then some orange. And it seems like it needs to go back to yellow. All right, I've got some failed attempts at mixing color, so let me try that again. Don't pay attention to the man behind the camera. All right, we'll try it again. No big deal. I reached for some colors that I thought I saw, and I never could achieve it. So rather than saying I'll accept it, I just decided to give me a fresh start. Fresh start with some fresh paint. Get some more Naples there. There you are, Naples yellow. There you are. Take some Naples yellow right at the tip of my brush. Mix it with that orange. It's pretty nice, but I don't want to pale it. I am struggling here. That color, this color right in here has to be the brightest, most interesting spot on the entire painting. And I'm not getting it just yet. So we'll try another mix, and if I get it, I'll tell you. Ooh, that's better. That's better. Get a little orangier. All right, it was some cadmium yellow medium, some orange, and some white. Just painting over some areas. Have a nice creamy white. Okay. So I'm going in again over some areas that I thought maybe they were done, but as they dried back, I didn't really love what I'm seeing. I wasn't getting enough out of them. And these are all lovely little dots, but they kind of have to connect into a larger whole. And already I painted a couple of areas thinking I was just getting a light color, and it dried back because there was a lot of white. So that's just trial and error. Sometimes you just have to have a different level of opacity.
We do have a question.
Yes.
Lisa asks, is the purpose of adding layer after layer of paint to correct what you do not like, or is it to give an effect? Because, for instance, I can no longer see the green of the trees you put down an hour or so ago, and the orange of the sunset has looked completely different at different stages.
All right, there were a couple of parts to that.
Yeah, well, the original question is adding layer after layer of paint to correct what you do not like, or is it to give an effect?
It's both. I mean, well, it's also to build what I do like. So, I mean, I think what you can see out of my style, right? And it would be silly to ask someone like me to paint differently because this is how I've enjoyed painting. But what I'm after, I feel I can only get with multiple visits. And so painting and repainting, some of it is clarifying the painting, some of it is changing it. You know, and some of it is just the natural development. I don't have a fixed idea in mind as to, the sunset. What I am after is I like how it's placed. And it's starting to get away from me. It should be back here. I just like where it's placed. It leads to a really nice focal point. But inevitably, maybe it looked good a time ago or two. My objective is for it to look good when it's done. So hopefully any trade-offs along the way, maybe they weren't too bad. But because it's not characteristic in watercolor to go at things as if you can correct them, to me, that's incredibly liberating because that means I can be more carefree in my early wash and yet still come out ahead. And no doubt this thing has looked different. And if you let me go for another couple hours, it would probably look even more different. Also, the light is changing. Okay. I think I need a very dark something in my brown. So some purple, a couple of greens, another green, dash it in the corner, add a blue, maybe indigo, maybe ultra. That all looks good. So sometimes I don't know if my painting the mark I just made was the right thing. I'm just making a judgment call at that time. I may change my mind. I would say let's say I want to see something much more dramatic. So I want to get some blues. So we'll go, we're going to mess it up right in the center. Big indigo. And a dark green. That might be enough. So all I've done is just squeeze them out right in the center, you can see. But what I'm going to do with these guys is those two colors is I'm going to use a tool. And just getting some thick paint there. Kind of like it. So what have I done? I've come in with a spatula with two dark colors, an indigo and a very dark green has like a lot of black. And all I've done is come in here with thick paint on my tool and I'm just I'm just moving it around for making some treatment. You know, everything is thin and washy, so something has to be something else. All right, so what do you think? Have I done any improvement, or is it just going round and round? I am going to get a little drip into this. And this is so dark, I'm going to throw some light in it. Real quick. Well, well now. All right, this is what we'll do. Let's take another break here and we'll regroup in 15 minutes and I will do a mad rush to come to completion. Okay?
We do have a question.
Yes.
Anne asks, do you ever use the white of the paper for any effect and let it show through?
Usually I use it for the effect of having it show through. You may not have seen in any examples, but with larger paintings, I often show some of the paper, have some of the paper remaining showing through. Anything else? All right, this is what we'll do then. I will harden this up a bit and then we can evaluate what needs to be done to pull it into something. So I'll see you in maybe 15 or so. Okay, so we've come back to look at the painting. There's a couple of things that I want to attempt to do straight away. Right now, this just works as a directional. And one of the charms in the original was it comes across and then bumps down and turns. So right now, this is too strong of a directional for me. I'd like to bump it down after a theoretical tree and maybe level this out. With leveling it out, I'll be painting some of these other areas over again. And then I will be focusing on painting the rest of this directionally so that it will follow the lines to this natural resting place. So that's what I intend to do. Tall order, monstrous order. Where do I start? All right. So a lot of my painting is going to be with Naples yellow and white. That's what I've been painting the highlights for. I should get some more white, excuse me. Okay. Okay. And we'll just get in there and put this back in. Now, those are in. I am going to get some massive amount of sap green. Maybe just something in here that tripped out. This. Like that. Okay, it's a little better. So it's hard when you're painting white because you just don't know what it looks like when it dries down. So a lot of these areas that I'm touching have already been touched. So I want to soften the edges up a little bit. That's why I'm kind of moving the brush around as I am. Okay. Bit of directional over here. That follows this into that. Take off the paint. Just like that. And something. So you can hear my brush probably. And then underneath here is just a lot of strange marks. Okay. I like that better. Now we're going to go to another darkness. We'll go to the nice blue, happy cerulean blue. And we'll just paint some things out if we need to. I put that blue. Okay. All these little shapes, they don't make sense. But if I just follow some of the clues. Okay. All right, now let's go to the next darkness. And what do we got? Yes. So the question, I'll bring it up again about what was the reason I was doing a certain something. First of all, it would be assumed that anything I choose to do, that it's trying to seek a solution. Not always found, but all right, we'll get some real. That wants to have blue. It's like painting a tree. You're trying to give just enough suggestion that it looks like a tree, but you don't want to do every single branch. Color I didn't want to. But that's okay. Still just plugging along. I'm going to take a dry brush. Just an experiment, could be a wild idea, I don't know. But I'm taking a brush, I'm cleaning it, I'm drying it. So all I want is the feather effect of the brush. And I'm just kind of hitting some of these hard edges where maybe they could be feathered a little. Okay. Come in with Do something a little more yellow, maybe just a little more yellow. Okay. I think I could get some darker blue in there and make it look very nice. So that will be a ultramarine blue. Hoping I have some. Ultramarine blue. Okay. I think I want this to be dried off. So I'm going to come in with a larger brush, kind of watery blue, but I know this is going to be polluted, so I'm turning it down a little. Okay. What are we going to do? We're going to take a pie tin and we're going to take some ultramarine blue in my pie tin. Then I'm going to take a big brush and mix up some watery stuff, right? And now I'm actually, we're just going to all right, we'll just keep going then. Really, that blue didn't do it for me. I'm gonna try it again. A little blue and a little black. Smaller brush. Washing these channels a little bit. Okay. some ultramarine blue blacked out. More. Okay, I'm coming in with some lighter gray. And just painting some details. Just bringing some dark. Light and dark, light and dark, light and dark, light and dark. Same thing over and over and over again. If you find that you have come to a place that you're happy with without doing multiple layers, that's great. I didn't think they'd get in the way, but they have. Some of those drips just got in the way. Okay. Some wet, gooey paint. I'm just dragging with my finger down. Still a couple things that bother me about, I guess this is just my eternal seek towards painting clouds. They're tricky, and getting enough information that they read as a cloud, and saving some information that there might be some ambiguity, but it's tricky. You guys are probably sitting there, yeah, you had better clouds at like 2:30. Just get some highlights in here, and that's all I'll be able to do here today. Okay. Let me switch over here. Okay. So this is about where I need to stop. Where am I at with this? As I'm sure you're able to witness, painting things in and out changed the composition quite a bit. So, and with the nature of the style of the watercolor and dripping it and using a lot of water, or in using a lot of pigment, You know, you really have to stay on something this modest in size. I think I'm at about 90 percentile. I'm looking at the white or cream passages in here, and those are the critical ones where I feel like they have to connect and bounce on this perfect diagonal. Maybe swoop up here. And then I think there's still some lights and darks with the shadowing of the clouds. I've really kind of grown fascinated with the chase to capture them. I'm still chasing because I haven't captured what I'm looking for. And if you ask me what I'm looking for, I don't know what I'm looking for. So there lies the conundrum where, you know, you'll know it when you get there. In general, I'm very happy with it. I think it translated well to the size. I love the panoramic. Couple of these verticals are coming through and destroying kind of the feng shui of some horizontals in here. That's no problem. I could just repaint them. And those may not be lines, they may want to be dots. So big area to me. In fact, I'll try some right now if it's the right color. Is there's a great shading going on in here, which really creates some volume in that cloud. But in general, I like it. I like it quite a bit. It's got the right direction. It's, to me, it needs to be refined. Okay. So as I said, I'm at about a 90 percentile. This is where I almost have to stop because I just need to see what I need to sit back on. I need to be critical of it. Not I need to walk away from the affection that I had over the painting process. Doesn't matter how many times I said I stopped, I haven't stopped. So the irony is a simple composition of clouds and landscape at a modest size can really wreak havoc because you really need to follow all those individual shapes and you need to get those right so that it feels like you've got light coming underneath the clouds and it's illuminating. Remember, you're standing someplace and you're seeing the light dip and the clouds are moving over and the low light is really warm and it's casting all these like reflections underneath part of the shadows. And that's what we're trying to capture here. So I think we're close. I'm happy with it as it is. I have to stop touching it now. What how about everybody out there? Any questions I can touch upon? Okay, the question might be, do I want you to paint the source? And the answer is yes. I think I'm giving you a challenging landscape, but you've got 100 outs. The clouds are not, they don't have addresses on them. They don't have to look exactly like a certain cloud. But to capture the feeling, you really do have to get that illusion correct. So please do so. Pay attention to the proportions. The proportions are 1 to 2. 1 to 2. 10 inches to 20 inches. You could take your long sheet, your full sheet, fold it in half, and you could get what, 15 by 30? No, that's 11. Fold it in half to 15 and you can go the long ways. Or if you fold it in half to say, what is that? 11, you know, you could do something 11 by 20, 22. So anyway, just think about it. Think in proportions. Try to capture the feeling of the clouds. I know they're challenging, and I know it's probably maddening watching me. And I'll probably go into this and won't look at anything like this next time. But you know, for the most part, I'm happy with this. There's some wet in here, so why don't I give it something? And I gave them a lot over here, so I might have to get rid of those. Sometimes just splatters. I mean, they're okay because it's just accentuating that it's a painting. That's all. It's just making an announcement of what it is. Okay, that's all I can do for today. Well, I hope it was entertaining. I hope you guys learned something. I'll give some thought. If anybody has any suggestions of the nature of what you'd like to see demoed next week, put it into Padlet. So if you felt like you wanted to, I have a wonderful city skyscape, but I don't know if you guys want to go the architecture bit, but think about that and maybe I can find something that we all can enjoy. So, well, if there's nothing else, I'll let this dry. I'm not going to put it up as is because it's not done. And I'm even rubbing out some of the scratch marks. But I will post it. Well, I'll take that back. I will post a copy of this when it all dries up as a work in progress, but I do intend to spend some time into it. So this was week 4. Week 5 is next week. Last one. We'll have to think of a really good challenge for everybody. Well, if there's nothing else, then I'm going to say good afternoon. And are there any other chat questions, Will?
No.
Okay, good. All right. Well, thank you all. I've enjoyed this as usual. This is a more challenging one for me, so the dare is on for you. Can you beat me? It's possible. All right. Nice class with you all. Thank you so much.